Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Blue Jays fans of all ages. Welcome to the Jaybird Watching Podcast, home of the Jays fans' unofficial bar room chat. Our hosts Craig Gordon, Liz McGuire, and Jason Lyons are here to bring you all the words on these birds. We are here to have fun and talk baseball with all of you, so have those questions ready in the chat. Special thanks to our sponsor, JBW Baseball Company, Canada's baseball brand. So grab a bar stool, your favorite beverage, and let's talk some baseball. Let me hear you, Jays Nation. We are live. We have ourselves a Victory Wednesday party, people. We get to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays right here on Jaybird Watching. I'm your host, Craig Gordon, and with me, as always, my partner in crime from this weekend a little bit, Liz McGuire. How we doing?
Hi. How's it going? I'm good. I'm really good. I want to say
Must be. You're like,
yeah, I'm decked out in the Ernie Clement jersey. But I will tell you something. I've been to many Blue Jays games. I've been going since 2009, like consistently. And the most special thing happened to me on the Monday game. That's right, friends. Finally, after years of watching the J-Force Babes throw shirts to other people, I caught one. I caught a shirt from a J-Force Babe. Now, I will say this. I was like, man, how could this happen to me? Because I'm sitting in better seats now. I have finally shelled out for better seats. But is it the shirt bland and much too big? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Will I cherish it forever? I will.
100%.
Let's go.
I still think it's funny. The only shirt I've ever gotten was with you the one night we were bleacher creatures and above the bullpen. And then the only other time I was there as a Buffalo Bills game where one of the regular season. And I was sitting there drinking a beer, talking with my brother. And literally it got hit in the head, kind of like right about here from the side. I didn't even see it coming.
So it can happen.
It does happen. So anyways, tonight we got a little bit of a flashback here as I put on the proper Buffalo hat tonight. We got Brian Frank of the Herd Chronicles with us. Brian, how the heck are you, and welcome to the show?
I am great. I'm a fan of the show, so it's great to be here, especially after that big win today. It's like the perfect time to come on. So
yeah. So why don't we just start there? Obviously, I'm going to let everybody talk to you about what you got going on with your book and everything as more people settle into the conversation here. But let's talk the win today. What did you see while you got to see flipping through the box score on TV today?
You know, it felt like there were just so many positives to take away from the game today, whether it was, you know, a simple thing like Vladdy kind of being Vladdy and staying hot to Okamoto getting another big hit. Obviously, Springer's return is a headline, and Brandon Valenzuela hitting a home run. There were just so many things to take away from it today, and a lot of positives.
Yeah. Let's start with that first big piece of news right there, because it's 2 days in a row we get to celebrate something pretty damn fun, and that is George Springer is back in this lineup. He didn't start, but Liz, he came in when he needed to, and he got us a ribby.
I like that a lot. And this is the thing. It's like the Savage start was so good, you know, and this is like a glimmer. It's like we're 2 games under 5. If they can just kind of keep it rolling, keep winning series, we'll be back. We'll be back in no time. And like we have a lot of interdivision play coming up. I didn't even realize until I looked at the schedule. We have Tampa Bay, then we got some more Tampa Bay like the next week, and then we got a bunch of Yankees games.
There is that.
So we got to make some moves.
Yeah, and it does seem like things are falling into place. Brian, you ended up having the wonderful pleasure of seeing Trey Yesevich in the last couple of weeks, and then you got to see him, I guess, crank it up to 11 in his game yesterday. Give me a little contrast there between Buffalo and Rogers.
I think cranking it up to 11 is a good way to put it, because like he started here in Buffalo, and the day that he pitched was there was a Sabres game that night. And of course, that's like the big thing in the city right now. So there wasn't like a really big crowd there for the game. And it's got to be hard for a guy who's like last game, you know, that he pitched in the major leagues was in the World Series to suddenly be pitching in front of a ballpark that's there were some fans there, but it was, you know, certainly not what he was pitching in front of in Toronto. So he looked good early on here in Buffalo, but then kind of lost his control around, I think it was about the 3rd inning. But I mean, he looked great last night. So definitely, I think having the big crowd amps him up more, and he definitely looked like everything you would hope that he would look like when a return.
Yeah, I think it was either our friend Mayor Mo Freeney of Dunedin, Florida, or her the city commissioner, our buddy Steven Sandberg and Bergen. They said it perfectly about his last season. He went from literally pitching in front of a couple hundred people to an entire country over a whole course of a baseball season. Oddly, he's starting kind of the same way again this year, Brian, and here we go all over again, I guess.
The sky's the limit. The amazing thing this year is how many starting pitching injuries they have. And Barrios pitched for Buffalo last night, but there's no real urgency to get him back. If he needs another start in the minors, that's fine. You have guys like Corbin and Lauer filling in respectably. And, there's just, Scherzer going down, Bieber out, but you can just kind of take your time with these guys and get them back to the major leagues when they're ready. And with the number of injuries that they've had, that's really amazing.
Yeah, and the bullpen's been kind of holding it down, and that's been great. And I don't know, it's nice that the bats have warmed up. It's nice that they can, these pitchers can have some run support because, man, today was a day of scoring runs. In fact, I was like,
we went a perfect 4 for 4 with runners in scoring position.
I love it. So at the Dome, they have a thing. It's like a stat. I don't know if it's everywhere. I think I've talked about it, but it's LOB, left on base.
Yeah,
that one hurts the most, and it's always so many. And not today, guys. Not today. We cashed him in, and that's what I want to see. Vladdy. What is up with? He's hitting so well. He's just getting on base, scoring runners. He's having really good bloop singles. The power's not there, but I don't even care. If you get on base and score runs, that's what I want. That is exactly what I want. And it's just been so fun to watch. It's just nice to see. It's nice to see that we have a glimmer of where we used to be, who we are, I think, actually. And today's game. So today's game, I was like, okay, I was watching it and I was like, I gotta go to the gym. But you know what? I'll only go to the gym if they score 5 runs.
There you go.
Anyway, I gotta go to the gym.
Oh no, they scored 5 runs. I have to go to the gym. At least we're gonna get a W.
Yeah, I know. Well, you don't know. This thing is 5. And I was like, oh, you don't know. And then I kept looking at what was the end score? 9-1?
8-1, wasn't it?
8-1. Yeah, 8-1. That's just, and it's good for the team morale. It's good to get that wagon rolling. So I don't know. I was pleased. But I am nervous about Barrios a little bit, only because is there some weird vibes there with him and the team?
It's a weird situation. I don't know. Knowing only what we've read, from the people reporting about it, I imagine he decided not to stick with the team and probably quickly realized that was a mistake, but maybe couldn't go back on what he'd already decided. And I don't know. We'll see. But
little column A, little
how
column
many years
B.
do we have him for? What's the years left in his contract?
I want to say 2, but I'll
yeah.
Yeah, we have him for a while. That's the thing where I'm kind of annoyed that if they are kind of frigging him around or he feels frigged around, we need him for 2. I know that I always say, what is it? He gets 6 runs in the first inning, or goes 6 innings with no runs. He is either or. The guy can eat innings on great days, and so let's have him. Let's cherish him. Let's not forget about his contributions.
Yeah. This is the first time I've ever went on sporttrack.com to not find the answer I'm looking for.
Okay.
Oh, good God. That's a first. But anyway, just to say it. Hi, Brother Lions. How we doing? Good seeing you in the chat. But to your point, I'm wondering how much of at least what we saw with you, Brian, in Buffalo with him yesterday was the fact that it is the same problem. It's the no amped up thing. It's been kind of cold and rainy here in Rochester. Maybe it wasn't a great grip on. I know he didn't play in Rochester yesterday, but Buffalo, but I don't know. I think it's one of those things he's going to come out, to your point, Liz, and you're going to ride the Jose Barrios roller coaster. The guy has been a machine for so many years, but he does his lay an egg every so often.
But I mean, I'm cool with that. I'm kind of cool with that. If it's every couple starts he lays an egg, that's fine, because we need some of that. Or it's nice just to have him. I don't know. If we're gonna have him for 2 years, we should have him for 2 years or get rid of him. There you go.
Yeah. He's got an opt-out in 2027, but he is technically a Blue Jay until 2029.
Oh, wow.
So at least that's what Google's telling me right now. He's signed all the way through the 2028 season.
And the positives from his outing in Buffalo yesterday was his velocity.
That slaps.
He's up around 94, which, you know, I mean, that's
normal for him.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, you're facing guys in a minor league ballpark, and you never know what he was working on in the game. So we'll see when he gets back. But yeah. He's 94. So
ever since the Springer in spring training was the worst ever, and then became the best ever Springer, I'm always like, I don't know what. Maybe they're working on something. Maybe they're like trying to figure something out. You know, like.
Yeah. Well, we just saw that with Trey, because he definitely did not have all of it for him during his Buffalo start. He had a really good Dunedin start, but then again, he's also playing with guys that.
Yeah, but like his
dings.
His stats yesterday, no balls. I love it.
I
absolutely love it. Commanding the zone. I know he had some on-base action, but like that's his job. He caught it. He friggin' kept it in the park. He kept it in the park.
Yeah.
And if this offense clicks and some of these guys keep doing what they're doing, we are where we are. So we're going to get better.
I fear with Trey. This is what I fear with Trey. They were like, this is his 4th regular season game. And I was like, oh, he's brand new. He's going to get shelled. He's going to have to work it out. And that's okay. And we'll stay with him. But it's like, and even with Varland as our closer, God bless, closer by committee Varland. The committee was just Varland. He was
numbered 77.
They were. I like the way they were just being really polite. It's like, no, we're your closer by committee. No, it's like, we know what you're doing. Anyway, eventually he's going to blow a save, and that's baseball. But it's like, you just hope they win more than they lose.
Yeah, unless you're Eric Gagne for your Major League Baseball debut. What was it, 67 saves in a row to start his Major League career with the Dodgers in the early 2000s? It's freaking wild. So
no, he could, anyway. I bet, you know what? I bet he could control space and time. Like, that is a clue to me that you have supernatural powers. Like, that's a tip-off right there. It's like, okay.
There's something about Varland, like even a few days ago when he came in and struggled a little bit at first, but then eventually locked it down. Like, I just have confidence when he's in there. Like, even if he gets a couple guys on base, I'm like, oh, he's going to get out of this, you know?
He's going to get out of it. Yeah, because he can get it back. Yeah. Right? Unlike our boy Hoffman, who actually had such a good game last night. But
it looked normal that way. And it was like, hey, this is where it can work. He can get everything back on the level. He doesn't have to be the guy for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But I will say that often, like when Hoffman's out of the zone, he has a hard time getting it back in, or he gives up a home run. You can watch Varland grit it out and struggle and figure it out and work it out. Like, I'm like, he'll probably work it out.
Yeah. So obviously tonight we have our buddy Brian Frank here with us to talk all things Buffalo Bisons baseball, and we're going to talk about his amazing book that I just got done reading for the COVID years of what became the Toronto Blue Jays home of Buffalo, New York. But I want to ask some borderline questions before we just dive full right in to your book and everything and the wonderful things that we were going to be our main topic of the episode tonight, Brian. There's some current Toronto Blue Jays that have recently been graduating up to the Major League Baseball level. Brian Valenzuela had a home run today. We got to see Piniago. Is there anybody that you're just like, oh my God, I'm not surprised that they're doing what they're doing, or you're waiting for one of them to take that next step at this point?
Well, Valenzuela, I think I kind of had a feeling that he was going to have an impact in Toronto at some point this year. You know, I was really looking forward to watching him in Buffalo for longer than he was here, but unfortunately circumstances got him called up. But I mean, just having a switch hitting catcher that's as good as he is defensively, and then having some pop too. You know, I think he had 15 home runs last year between AA and AAA, and you saw it today. You know, the power that he has. So like, you know, if you're switch hitting catcher, 25 years old, you got some pop and you can throw guys out on the bases, you probably have a pretty good career ahead of you, whether that's as Kirk's backup or more than that, you know? So I really was looking forward to watching him make that jump. It's great to see Piniago get up there and get some major league experience, you know, however long he's up there and having some success. I mean, that's only going to give him confidence going forward. And he's still a really young guy. He's only 23 years old. So it's wonderful to see him have that success that he's having so far. There's definitely some other guys on the Bisons right now that I could see having an impact sometime this season. The one guy who always stands out to me in that respect is Josh Kasevich. He just from the day he came to Buffalo, the best I can put is he reminds me of Ernie Clement.
Yes.
I don't know, like really.
It's not a bad comparison.
Yeah.
I would say that same thing. I've seen enough of him when they're playing the Rochester Red Wings here over the last year or so. He's a gamer. He's gonna find some way to get into a game and do something good.
As Pat Talbot would say, he's a ball player, right? Like he really is. So like he there's something about when Clement was here, there was something about the way Ernie Clement carried himself. I was like, this guy just acts like a major leaguer. Like, you know, he's got that coolness, that like kind of he's at ease, but he's still performing. And Kasevich kind of just has those same kind of leadership things when you watch him play and sprays the ball over the field. They had a really good series last week when the Bisons were home. So I'm really looking for big things from him. He was hurt most of last year, but he's really standing out again as that type of ball player. And then Charles McAdoo is off to a great start here as well. His first time through in AAA here, and just a really solid ball player. Plays third, plays first. Really good arm, good defensively. Has speed, has power. So he's another guy who I'm really looking forward to seeing play more in Buffalo and possibly have an impact in Toronto at some point.
He was the one I was going to ask you about if you didn't get to him, because there is something I made the comment that when we traded for him and we got him from the Pittsburgh Pirates for IKF, and I was like, ooh, I was watching some video of him and seeing the swing and whatnot, and I'm like, he might have been the steal of that trade, and it's starting to prove me right.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, you know, when they first get to AAA, they'll struggle for a little bit. It kind of takes them a little bit. I mean, it's the first time coming up through the system that you're facing guys who've been to the big leagues. You're facing like 32-year-old pitchers or something all of a sudden after facing like, you know, teenagers like last year.
Yep.
So, but he like he's looked perfectly fine at the plate and defensively, like it's nothing phases him, and he's really done a nice job so far. Yeah. And he's a cousin of NBA Hall of Famer Bob McAdoo, who was a Buffalo Braves star, you know, so that's
kind of about that. So no, somebody told me I didn't even put the Buffalo connection together though. That was where I missed the stat. But the other thing is he plays an incredible good third base too, and he's been playing some first too, correct? Yeah.
He moves back and forth between third and first, and looks equally comfortable at both of them. So
good deal. So now that we're going to bridge even further toward your group, your wonderful fun, because you had been, I'll say, the Buffalo historian of all things baseball. Out of all the players you have seen that have made it to the majors, and it's been a various level of organizations over the years, from the Cleveland Indians at the time to the Mets and all these other teams, who has been some of the people that you have seen come through Buffalo that you're like, okay, great, they're going to be the next big thing, or just drop some names for wonderful fun that has been Major League Baseball players from Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, going back, I mean, you want who I saw. If you go back before me, we had Johnny Bench. So, I mean, but that's before my days of watching. But like in my time, I mean, Brandon Phillips kind of stands out when he was here playing shortstop and went on to star with the Cincinnati Reds. Phillips was here when we were affiliated with Cleveland. Obviously, we had the Mets for a little while, and Matt Harvey was a big pitching star at the time and went on to help the Mets get to the World Series. In more recent years, I mean, it's been kind of the Vladdy, Bo, Biggio trio kind of stands out when they went through. I think those would be the guys that really stand out for me. You know, if you go back to like the 70s when we were at AA at the time, we had like Tony Pena came through, but that was just a little bit before my days of watching them. So
yeah, and then you had the I'll call it the wave of the dynasty it never was with the Cleveland Indians, with the Manny Ramirez, Jim Tomei, everybody.
Yeah. we didn't have those guys on the way up, but we had those two rehab here. And but that's when the kind of the Bisons, like their peak championship years was during that time in the late 90s. Yeah.
Yep. So, well, yeah, the speed in that team with all those talented players was just wild to see that, even playing with what, you know, was here in Rochester, because we play you Buffalo people all the time.
It kind of reminds me of like what's happening now, though, because like Cleveland had such a strong team at the time, that, Buffalo guys could have really good years, but they couldn't force their way up into the Cleveland lineup because it was pretty set and, everything. And that's kind of guys have been forcing their way up because of injuries right now in Toronto, but you have like a set lineup. You have a really strong bench when everybody's healthy. So, I mean, guys have to really perform to get called up just on merit right now, Correct. So it kind of reminds me of that from those Cleveland years in the late 90s.
Yeah. And what a good problem to have at the end of the day, because bringing a championship even in the international league to Buffalo makes me happy. It's just a beautiful. So, but I made the joke that how ironic and how Buffalo would it have been to lead fully into your book here is if we won a World Series while it was the Buffalo Blue Jays.
Yeah.
It would have been the first major sports championship.
Wow, man, that would have been
it would have been by a team that's visiting.
They made the postseason that year.
They made it in 2020. Yeah, 2020.
So 2021, I was at the game. I was at that last game where we watched, I don't know the other team play. I can't remember who it was. And I just wept in my brother's arms. And Vladdy was watching alone from the dugout. And then Bo's quote was like, I think it was Bo or Marcus Simeon. His quote, "We became the best team in baseball. One game too late."
Yep. Really.
Broke my heart. Until I saw them. I was at the Game 7 World Series. That was the most heartbroken I've ever been. I wept. Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, at least you had group therapy with everybody else in the ballpark that night, Liz.
No, I left. I cried. I was alone. I was like, "No, we left. You get out of there. Just get out of there." But it was sad.
Now, a lot of the fans of the show know this, but Brian will get this one too much for living in Buffalo. But I basically tortured myself because I had nowhere to put my anger or anything after that Game 7. I watched the Four Falls of Buffalo documentary after that because that's what YouTube's infinite wisdom did to me with the suggestions. They put it right in front of my face, and I'm like, oh, okay. I did feel better after that, though. Buffalo makes me feel better. So, but on that note, I want to talk about your book. I want to dive into Blue Jays in Buffalo and how you came up with the idea. You have so many great interviews with players in it, and it is just a wonderful, I'll just call it a written documentary of those 2 seasons where the Blue Jays called Buffalo home because of the global pandemic that was COVID-19. So
so I write about Buffalo baseball history and Bison's history, and I've been a huge Blue Jays fan my whole life. So them suddenly becoming affiliated with the Blue Jays in 2013, the Blue Jays and Bisons, it was like my worlds colliding because I've always been a Bisons fan, I've always been a Blue Jays fan. And so, in 2020, they announced that the minor league season was canceled, and I figured that was it for baseball in Buffalo at the time. Then all of a sudden, the Blue Jays were coming here. I was lucky enough to get credentials to go to the games in 2020, even when fans weren't allowed in, which allowed me to be in all the pre and post game press conferences and everything, which were all done by Zoom at the time. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this for my website? And I started writing about the games, and I was, after a couple games, I was like, okay, well, I'll put them together and maybe put a whole series on my website or something. And then I realized this thing is going to get too big. It's going to turn into a book, And so I just kind of started approaching it as a book and working my day job as I was going to games and doing the press conferences and transcribing them and writing the articles. And I kind of just wrote the first draft of the book, a really rough first draft as it was happening. And then of course they returned here in 2021 and with fans in attendance. And then I was like, okay, this is going to be a really cool thing for these fans who are going to the game, because some of the big things at the time, you forget what that time was like with COVID, and they didn't one big thing, my family growing up, my dad always bought a program when we went to the games. They didn't sell programs at the games because, I don't know, it had something to do with COVID, weren't supposed to touch and get so they didn't sell programs. I was like, well, people who went to games, now they have this keepsake, this memento to kind of look back on that time. No matter what game you went to, you can pick it up and kind of go through. And because I go through game by game through 2020 and 2021 and look back at the games that you were at. So that's kind of just how it all came about. And then after the fact, after the Blue Jays returned to Toronto in the next couple of years, then I went back and talked to some of the key people who kind of had Buffalo connections, so mostly because they played for the Bisons, like Vladdy and Bo and Danny Jansen and Jordan Romano and Santiago Espinal. And so I talked to them about kind of their experience in Buffalo as minor leaguers and then returning here with the Blue Jays. So that's kind of just how it all came together over the last 6
That's
years.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And like I think you summed it up perfectly. Like you said, it is a snapshot in time. I just read it over the last couple of weeks, and I was flipping through the books, and it was the name of names I couldn't believe that had actually escaped my mind space. That was the thing that was blowing my brain on this whole thing. The fact that you had all those great stories about like Matt Shoemaker getting ejected.
Yeah.
First off, I completely forgot about Matt Shoemaker, and I loved Matt Shoemaker. We talked about him constantly on this show during the pandemic, and had our own little group therapy session back, way too many episodes ago at 5:21 tonight. But it was just, I was like, I don't know how I forgot these stories. And I was able to teleport myself to the good things that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic with your book. And it was just great to relive those stories. And I realized the irony of the fact that the Blue Jays core at that time was basically developed in Buffalo with Vlad, Bo, and Biggio. And they got to basically become a playoff team in Buffalo again.
It really is amazing when you look at it like with that kind of lens, because like when you look at 2019 before they came here, they were 67 and 95. It was Charlie Montoyo's first season. Vladdy made his debut. Bo and Biggio made their debut a little bit later on. When you look at the names on that 2019 pitching staff, like Trent Thornton led the team in starts. Then you had Stroman and Sanchez. Clay Buchholz was one of those big starters.
Yep.
Wilmer Bonds. And so like 2020, when they came to Buffalo, it really is kind of when they started to form, that team that we kind of think of like the Vladdy, Bo era kind of starting. But even when you look at the pitching staff from 2020 to 2021, when you mentioned Matt Shoemaker, it's kind of funny because the names from 2020, they had Hyunjin Ryu, like, okay, all right. And then after him, they had like Tanner Roark, Chase Anderson.
That was the one I was going to go to.
Matt Shoemaker. Yeah. And then at the trade deadline, they got Robbie Ray and they got Taijuan Walker, but it really was kind of, and their bullpen was the same.
Oh, who was sorry? Was that the time of Brad Hand and Rafael Delis?
They did.
I hated that year. Oh my God. Oh,
now there's the PTSD from the pandemic right there.
Yeah, I had a theory. Back to my magic theories that like Delis, they put him in games and he'd be like, he looked like he didn't know how he got here. No. How he got. My theory was it was a Freaky Friday situation where somebody had swapped bodies with him, but the paycheck was so good. They're like, I'm not going to tell anyone. I guess I'm just going to pitch in this game tonight.
He would not have liked the pitch clock because he was about the slowest work I've ever seen. Yeah, but then going from that 2020 and all those names we just said, going to 2021 when they returned to Buffalo. 2021, you had Robbie Ray, who went on to win the Cy Young that season. You had Ryu. You had Alek Manoah burst onto the scene. You had Steven Matz, Ross Stripling, and then they got Barrios at the trade deadline, which is like a huge deal.
Decent.
You had Romano closing out games all of a sudden. And it really was like a completely different pitching.
Yeah, not to mention we paid for Marcus Semien and George Springer, I think, in 2021.
Yeah, and
so that was the beauty of the other parts.
I have a photo.
45 home runs.
That was such a good year, man. And the fact, but it's wild when even when it was happening, it was kind of wild that we were like, okay, we believe in you, Bo Bichette, that you will be a good shortstop. So we're gonna take the better shortstop and we're gonna put him on what, second or third? Where did we put him? Second. Yeah. We're gonna put him on second. That was fucking wild. Sorry,
How ironic is that just happened to Bo Bichette now too?
I know. I mean, that was it. I mean, I hope that Simeon's making him feel better as he looks like he's gonna cry in the dugout after so many games.
Yeah, I hope that was honestly the nice soft landing to Bo landing in the media nightmare that is the New York Mets pigpen there. So, but that year the Blue Jays had the best offensive middle infield in Blue Jays history. And you had, to your point, Brian, a record-breaking performance from Marcus Semien.
Semien, it's amazing when you look at the offensive stats for that season, and people can point to, they were at a minor league ballpark for a lot of the year, but like Buffalo plays fair. I mean, it's not. And I know one time I was talking with Randall Gritchick, and he was like, because he hit well in Buffalo, and I asked him if he had a theory to why he hit well in Buffalo, and he's like, well, this was in 2021, I was talking with him. He's like, well, if you look at all the metrics from 2020 of the ballpark, it plays fair like a major league ballpark. It's not like it's like, the balls are flying out of there. But in 2021, you had Vladdy leading the majors in home runs with 48. He led the majors in like everything that year.
Everything.
Like base percentage, OPS, like, yeah, you name it. You had Semien hitting 45, Bo hitting 29. But then you had Teoscar and Lourdes Gurriel. Like Teoscar had 32, Gurriel 21.
Yeah. I saw them in Buffalo when they got called down. I don't know, it was a different year, but we were watching Lourdes in Buffalo, and I think Teo got sent down for his excruciatingly bad defensive play.
Yeah. Originally, anyway, he's actually turned that whole thing around pretty efficiently.
Yeah, but like
that few years with the Blue Jays, and then now with the Mariners and Dodgers.
Yeah, but that team was fun. That was it got funner, and it was a weird. I mean, being on the Canada side of it, it was an odd thing to just not have your team. No, like it was the vibes of the cities were dead. It was a weird, sad time for us.
Mm-hmm.
When baseball came back, I cried. I bawled when they came back in the city. There's a lot of crying in baseball, apparently. But in terms of like, what did it do to the city of Buffalo to have that team there?
So you just talking about that right now. Like, it was really in 2020. It was really weird because, like I said, I went to the games and I would like go in and I would walk into the games. Of course, there were no people allowed in. And there was hardly anybody there. Like, they would spread the media out like in the stands with little tables in front of us because they didn't want us being inside in the press box. So we were sitting outside at tables like really spread out. There weren't hardly any people from Toronto came down. I think Keegan was here for a little bit, and Hazel May came as well for a bit. But I think Hazel might have been here in 2021 though. I think Keegan was here for a little bit, and Rob Longley was here for a little bit. But other than that, there really weren't very many reporters here. And you'd walk into the stadium, and there'd be maybe 20 or 30 people kind of walking around the stadium with their masks on and stuff, just fans that wanted to just kind of hear what was going on inside because there was Major League Baseball there, but nobody could get in. So people would just kind of walk around just to hear, because they would be playing like the same music that they would play, like walk-up songs, and they had crowd
trying to get the players hyped
like
up.
There's a game going on in there, but like you couldn't get in. And I always felt, every time I walked in, I felt bad. I was like, man, I wish these people could just get in and watch these games,
I recall their...
Yeah, go ahead.
God.
No, 2021, then people finally got to go in. So it was really cool to all of a sudden, we were still sitting at those little tables of media, and there'd be like fans sitting right in the row ahead of us. It was
I remember a news article and a report out of the Buffalo News right when they, the first games during the pandemic, obviously Major League Baseball in Buffalo is happening again. Yes, that's going to be a talking point in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, extreme close up. But anyways,
that helped emphasize your point.
Yeah, exactly. So in the midst of this whole thing, I remember there being a headline that there were some, gentlemen that were basically hanging out behind the scoreboard right on the highway, and the police had to come and make them all clear out.
Yeah, that happened from time to time. People out on Oak Street out in left field trying to catch home runs and stuff.
Great.
And there was actually like a article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. They actually called me for it, and I referred them to some other people, that people were like ordering like Major League Baseball extra innings and stuff around here because they couldn't go to the games, but they wanted to watch the games because they were in Buffalo. So there really was like a cool vibe that the Blue Jays were here, but nobody could go to the game. So it's kind of a strange thing at first.
Yeah. So let's talk on that whole thing a little bit. So now the games obviously meant something extra because the Blue Jays were playing so well in 2021. This Major League Baseball team had the weirdest season amongst any Major League Baseball season, I think, ever. They had 3 different homes throughout the 2021 season. We mentioned that they obviously played the majority of their games in Buffalo there for, everything, but they also played the first month in Dunedin because they had just got done renovating that ballpark, and they had to do a few little facelift things to the ballpark there in Buffalo. And which, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the time that was the biggest upgrade that the ballpark had gotten since ever. Correct?
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah, so the ballpark was built in the 80s. It opened in 1988 with the intention of getting a Major League expansion franchise here. So it's actually built so that they could add on an upper deck if we ever got a Major League team. So like what now is the upper deck would become the mezzanine if they ever got expansion in 92. But yeah, they made so many upgrades. I mean, I probably won't even mention them all here. They completely replaced the infield. They the clubhouses. I mean, it's unreal. Like they used to be like these. I don't even know how to describe them. Like
hole in the wall from my recollection.
Yeah, it was like, and now they're just like these gorgeous, like could be Major League clubhouses, and they have like a nutrition room, a weight room. They have a state of the art batting cage out in right field, and all these things that they probably never would have had to this extent. They did. It kind of happened at the right time because minor league baseball reorganized and Major League Baseball took over minor league baseball and put in all these rules. I know Rochester recently updated their clubhouses as well because Major League Baseball said you have to meet certain criteria to keep your minor league team.
Yeah. They just got a wonderful new batting complex too that they actually opened to the public a lot too, which is
I
really
saw
cool.
that.
I went over and did that and it was awesome.
Yeah. but the Blue Jays just went above and beyond everything. Like I know Ryan Baracki, when I was talking with him for the book, he said like this is the mecca of AAA baseball. This is everything here is just state of the art. So it really is amazing what they did to the ballpark. New lighting too, like they got the new like LED lights and everything. So it was, and you could notice that right away, the upgrade to the lighting between 20 and 2021. It was something.
So the team does what they do in 2021, like we mentioned, and they firmly made Buffalo their home, and there was nothing but, like you, to your point with the new facility stuff, ranting and raving about how nice it ended up being. But eventually, to Liz's exact point, the team finally got to go back home. And I was so excited at the end of that season when we're approaching the playoffs possibly to say that, hey, this team was helped built in Dunedin, in Buffalo, and it then won in Toronto was my mindscape. And unfortunately, I still wonder how much the traveling and the stupid stuff that they had to go through was the literal one game.
Well, I mean, there's so many Dolises and Brett Hanses, but I mean, what do you do?
No, that traveling, I think it helped them a lot that they had a younger team. You had all the guys we've mentioned, Vladdy, Bo, Biggio, all those young guys, even Teoscar and Gurriel and stuff, because I think that the older guys who are married, it was harder on. And Stripling talked about it when they were going to leave Buffalo and go back to Toronto, that because of the time, his family wasn't allowed to cross the border with them, or they had to make a choice if they're going to cross and stay or whatever it was at the time. And so he wasn't going to see his family for a couple months, So I think for those guys, for the older guys, it was a lot harder than it even was for the younger guys. But absolutely, I mean, no team's ever done what they did that year and then missed the playoffs by one game. I think they won 93 games or something too, and they missed the playoffs by one game. So because
of the stupid Yankees and Red Sox, once again, so is what it is. Liz, I'm not getting you off a Klempt, then you're gonna.
I'm a little sad. I get flashbacks to watching that on the screens, and then again, Vladdy was just watching it alone from the dugout, just staring. Alone. He was just alone. It was the saddest thing. Anyway, that's baseball, friends. And then we descended into many years of losing. Anyway, moving on.
If you want to go ahead and ask a question, it's 100% your ball right now.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, in regards to, I guess, I'm going to take a total side note. Where's Biggio right now?
He's AAA for Houston, yeah.
Because like he was like when I was in, like he was like the star of Buffalo. Like you would go there and he was like, and even like against Vladdy and Bo, like he was like Buffalo man.
Yeah, when you look back at 2020, he was like one of the Blue Jays' better players. Like he was kind of like that super sub guy that was like moving all over the field. Like he was playing second, he was playing third, played third for the first time in his career. He really had a good year that season. And just kind of like fell off. And I know there were high hopes from this year because he re-signed with his dad's team in Houston, but he's in AAA right now. Yeah.
Boy, this is how it unfortunately works out sometimes. It doesn't work perfectly, doesn't go to plan. This is why prospects are prospects. And baseball's fickle.
Truly. Wait, Brian, when the team was playing in Buffalo, did they have those weird like cardboard cutouts of people?
Oh yeah, they did.
That's weird.
I actually have one of me, so I should have brought that out.
Yeah, I think back like when I don't know if they were pumping like sounds of like ballpark and people through, but what a weird time that was. Like I think back on that often and be like, that felt like a dream, but it felt so normal at the time. But again, it feels like a dream. Like they were just playing empty ballparks.
It was crazy, and I got used to it at the time, like pumping in the crowd noise, and it was I definitely got used to the Buffalo experience with that and the cardboard fans, and but then I actually went to Fenway Park for a couple of games when the Blue Jays were playing in Boston in 2020, and used my credentials and sat like in the top row of Fenway Park. And that was really weird because they played like Sweet Caroline.
Even though
nobody was there.
Yeah.
You mean the cardboard cutouts didn't go bup.
Everything was just as if you're there. They played like Dirty Water after the game and played Sweet Caroline. And it was all, so that it was very, very strange experience.
Wow.
It's amazing that the other catch is that when I was reading your book and doing through all this stuff and looking forward to the chat that we were going to have this evening, this was only 5 years ago. It's like, it just seems like it's so far in my mind space back in the past, and it's not that long ago.
And I thought that at the time, I'm like, when this is over, this is just going to, looking back on this, is really going to be something. And now in some ways it feels like it was like last year. And in other ways it feels like it was like 30 years ago. I mean, it just is, was such a weird experience and in so many different ways, and
people deal with trauma in many different ways.
Yeah. I remember. So this is where it gets weird. I remember. So we had players who had played for us who had never been to Toronto. That was this. I remember watching Espinal. They did a virtual like Winterfest interviews of Espinal, and I didn't really know him, but he sounded like such a nice guy because like he's being like spoken to from fans like on Zoom, and he's like, "I am so excited about playing in Toronto. I can't wait." And I was like, "I'm gonna root for him." And then he did okay, and then he put on a ton of muscle, and he got real hunky, and he crushed, and then we got rid of him, and he's still playing. Oh, he's on the Dodgers right now. Yeah, but
he's
like,
one of those.
it was such a strange time to have like people they didn't know our city. They had all these young guys. It took a while for them to get there. I think Espinal made a really good catch on the first game home too. I think it was like a backwards.
He did.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
He did.
That was great. But like it was just like what a weird time. I mean,
even like Hyunjin Ryu, like he was a big free agent signing, obviously before 2020. And if you look back at his time in Toronto, he was still good when they went back to Toronto, but he probably had his best part of his Blue Jays career when they were in Buffalo here.
Yeah, that
he really did.
Strange. But like the thing is like when you had to go to the park, were you tested every time? Like what was your protocol?
It changed over time. I think you tested. How did that work? Oh, you had to take your temperature at home. And then you had to fill out something online saying that you didn't have a testing that your attestation, it was called, saying that you didn't have a temperature. And then when you got to the ballpark, you had to show the person when you walked in that you'd filled out your attestation, and then they would let you in. Yeah.
So when were the fans allowed back in? Like how? Like
that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2020, not at all. And then 2021, it started out kind of, it was limited capacity basically the whole time they were here, but they kept kind of like lifting the limits to let more and more people in. But they still had the cardboard fans, especially in the upper deck at Sahlen Field. And for a while, they had the third base side was for people who were vaccinated, and the first base side had more social distancing for unvaccinated people, and they were spread out more. And the upper deck, I think that's kind of why they had the cardboard fans up there, because they were like, so it was to fill up the ballpark, but it was also for social distancing because they had people kind of like spread out in the upper deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's things like that I mean, like 20 years from now, like how do you explain that to somebody that didn't live through it?
Right. And also, do you guys remember when we signed Whit Merrifield and Whit wouldn't travel to Canada with Kansas, with Kansas City, because he wouldn't get vaccinated, but then he gets traded to Canada and he gets vaccinated. He's like, yeah, okay, sure.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
It could have been a timing thing too, but to
no, he was like they were going to Canada without him.
Oh yeah, he was all full on. Like I'm saying, as far as being full on against it, and then having a whole year to really find out what's going on, and then okay, fine.
No, I think it was like in that same year. It was like months apart.
Was it that close?
Yeah, it was close. Yeah, it was like.
No, that is something you forget about though. Remember when they first started playing in Toronto, and they would like announce like visiting teams would be like, "Oh, these 5 players aren't going to be coming with us this series."
I absolutely.
It worked out in our favor a couple of times. The Red Sox.
It did, but I loved it. You're just like, no,
actually, I think it's this gentleman's here that our buddy at Dugout Mugs freaking gifted me because he's mean to me apparently. Tanner Hoek.
Oh yeah.
He goes, Craig, I sent you a gift with your mug, and he puts this in there. I'm like, thanks, guy, appreciate it. I thought we were friends. It's played a joke on me. But so, what was it like that first game that the Blue Jays? You walk in. Things are quote unquote normal-ish in the ballpark. You can grab a beer. There's some people in the ballpark. You can grab a hot dog. I know you were working, but it was what it is.
It was from my perspective, it was very strange because I'd gotten used to literally sitting in the ballpark practically by myself at a table, and there were literally people. Like I was still sitting at the same table, but there were people in the row ahead of me, fans, and the section was pretty much full of fans. So that was a weird experience that all of a sudden there were so many fans there. But the first game was like the first game with fans was like really awesome. Like Robbie Ray pitched, and Vladdy had, I think his first time up, he had a double. And then later in the game, he had a 3-run home run, and the fans were all chanting like MVP and, doing the Bills shout song. And the crowd was really getting into it because they finally got to come to a game, and it was really a great game to see. So, the first game with fans was very memorable.
Yeah, good deal.
I feel like everything kind of worked out for Brian here. Brian's like, well, I was a Jays fan, then I didn't have any Jays. Then I had like a whole bunch of Jays. Then like not only did I get Jays, but like I was in there alone with Jays.
I have them all to myself now.
And then I got to talk to a lot of them, and here I am.
It did. It worked out. This is where it led me right here.
There you go. It's like you paid your dues for never having a Major League Baseball team, and then it's like, by the way, you get this, and well done. So. And I appreciate the reporting and everything you did at the time, as it was a nice little view into what was going on out of what we didn't get to see on the the broadcasts and everything like that. Because even that whole thing felt like it was very thrown together some nights. Watching it on MLB TV or watching it on Sportsnet or whatever you happen to get your Blue Jays pleasures from and whatnot. But it was definitely not as intimate of a what's going on with Blue Jay baseball.
And even like those broadcasts were strange because you had like Dan Schulman and Buck Martinez and Ben Wagner doing the radio in Toronto and not traveling down here because of the conditions.
So watching it on TV just like the rest of us.
So all of that was very odd, and they all did a great job with what they had to work with. But it was very strange.
Yeah, I have a really hard-hitting question for Brian. This is the hardest-hitting question of all.
Right.
What is your favorite Buffalo Bison's hat?
Oh,
that is a hard-hitting question.
It's gonna sound
cool logos.
This is true, but it's gonna sound like I'm kissing up to the host here because I love the standing buffalo, the hat that you have on right now. I love like the old school feel of it. and they
It screams Buffalo in baseball.
Yeah, that's also my favorite hat. I know that hat that was really big like a couple years ago with the kids was the bison sliding in a base.
Yeah.
That was the big one. But I like the standard, like the bison in the baseball.
Yeah.
I liked for a few years they stole the like Sabres B for a little while, where it looked kind of like it was like a sword.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was always a classic too.
There's one if you go back to like the 50s, they have like a dark blue with like a B on it that it kind of is like the old English D that the Tigers use, but it's a B.
Didn't they wear that on their?
They haven't worn that in
so
decades.
When the Blue Jays came and became part of the organization, didn't they do the throwback Blue Jay night where they wore the powder blue bisons, and that was the
they did
the hat, wasn't it?
They still have they wear the powder blues on Sundays still.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah,
along with Wing Night.
Yeah.
Gotta love
we have Wing Wednesdays now and Taco Tuesdays. Yeah,
I do love that when I go to Buffalo to see the Bison's games. I always like to go to all of the bars that say they invented the wings.
Yeah.
Sure, man.
I'm still a Duffs fan. That's all I'm going to say. Although I have a Bar Bill right down the street now, so at least I have a Buffalo one. That's the only one that's not in Buffalo is the one right here in Rochester, New York. And I just happen to live down the street from it, where I can ride my e-bike away from it or take a very long walk. One of the other.
There you go.
It really is so for all the Canadians watching the coming to Sahlen Field to watch the Bisons. When people come down to do it, they're always amazed at how inexpensive it is to sit down close. And
I sat right behind home plate. I got I love Buffalo's a party. Yeah. Every time I go down, it's the
Pearl Street's right down the street from the ballpark. It's a great place to get food, and it's only 4 stories tall and has tons of beer.
It's the best. And this thing is what I like the most. It's a grass field. We're not used to grass fields. Grass. It smells good. It's still a minor league ballpark. So there's some crazy things that happen, such as a blue cheese kind of race, etc.
And it's right down the street from the General Mills plant, so it just smells like Cheerios all the time.
There you go. And what do you guys have in Buffalo and in New York that we actually do not have is Labatt beer. It's not brewed in Canada anymore. And I was telling Craig that we'll have old players on, be like, "Hey, Liz, have a Labatt when you for me in Toronto." And I'm always like, "Absolutely," but I cannot find them.
Speaking of cool minor league promotions, I'll tell you one that made me laugh that I just heard of the other day. That's coming up. They're having at the Bisons. It's May. I think it's the 14th, but I'm not sure about that. It's on a Thursday. I know it's like NASCAR night, and I'm not a big NASCAR guy, but they're having for NASCAR night. They're gonna have the world's fastest fireworks show.
Wow!
All the fireworks at one time. They're just
oh my god! Now that is a fun one. That is minor league baseball in a nutshell.
I'm always so jealous of you guys have all these cool minor league teams and we have none.
I know.
Actually, we have the Canadians. We have and we have the Ottawa Titans. But they're far away from me on other parts. But anyway, I love it.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. I didn't think of that one. So now that you brought that up, what's your favorite minor league promo that you have been privy to?
Oh boy. Probably the one that is kind of cool that they have usually about twice a year. And it's not as crazy as all the fireworks going off at once, but they have obscure jersey night where fans wear the most obscure jersey that they have, and it's really cool. And then they give prizes for different ones, like a jersey based on a movie or a jersey based on I don't even know what they all are, but it's kind of cool to see all the rare obscure jerseys that people wear.
Jerseys.
That's fun.
He's a giant hockey fan these days. It's a Shorzy jersey.
I always think of I actually just tweeted this out last week when I was walking to the game, and there was a man wearing a Vogelbach jersey. Now, is that a rare jersey? Kinda, because and then somebody one up me, and they're like, they had Paul or the Young jersey, and I was like, he was here for 2 seconds, and I'm just like, how?
He was actually here in Buffalo a while ago playing for Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah. But I love seeing a rare I'm like, were you family? What is going on here?
Yep.
Love it.
One of my favorite bobbleheads that I have in my collection is I actually went to the Bison's game for when they had the Conehead bobblehead giveaway.
Oh yeah.
And so I have of the local legend that is Tom Giroux, who is also immortalized on a building here in Rochester called We the Hobby. And he's just the Conehead, and it's just one of those things. And for anybody that hasn't been privy to me ever bringing this up again before, I will just share this window here for you, so you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
he's a beer man that has his own beer.
Yeah, I bought beer from him.
Perfect tip of the hat.
And my buddy whispers to me, "That's a big deal," and I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
All right.
I hope you kept that can. It's a collector's item for
no, just like a regular. I don't know. I just bought a regular beer from him. Probably like some trash beer, but I did anyway.
There was a while there that he had his own beer that he was actually giving out at the Bison's games, and he's at Bison's games, he's at Red Wings games, he's at Sabres. It's whatever event happens to be around for him, just to be that guy and goof around and have a good time with the fans and just yell, "Who needs a beer?"
I'm always surprised when I see him at Red Wings games, because it just seems like he's at a place that I know he's always there.
Like,
it's awesome.
What are you doing here? Why'd you get here? So, but good stuff. So, Brian, we're approaching the end of our show here. I want to make sure before we play our fun game at the end of our fun here with the Picks the Click, the microphone is yours. Shameless self-promoting time. Tell the Blue Jays fans about your book, whatever you'd like to talk to, and tell us about the Herd Chronicles, where they can find you.
Yep. So my book, Blue Jays in Buffalo, it's available on Amazon.ca in Canada, Amazon.com in the United States. In the US, it's $20, and in Canada, I think that translates to like $27.19, which Vladdy's
that's how it be. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and you can find my articles at herdchronicles.com. I have a podcast where I talk with Bison and Blue Jay players, chatting with the Herd. So you can find all that. And I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at Herd Chronicles. And I've always been a big fan of the show, so it's great to be here.
Beauty.
Correct. And I appreciate you for coming. And I've always been a big fan of your Twitter handle and everything, because you do such a great job of just chronicling birthdays, this history tidbit, all of these things that are just like you said, Buffalo, Blue Jays, all these things. And then I love that every once in a while you throw the thing out there that that Buffalo has had a Major League Baseball team before, and it's just obviously not in the modern era of baseball, but it happened.
What was this? Hold on. For those of us who are just over here, who was it?
So we've had a couple of short stints in Major League Baseball from 1879 to 1885. Buffalo had a team in the National League called the Buffalo Bisons.
Beauty. Yeah, makes sense.
And they actually had like 5 Hall of Famers play for them during that time in the early era of baseball. That's like before gloves. It was like the gloveless era and stuff. So yeah,
that's unreal.
This is like really the crazy stuff you would see at the dawn of baseball section.
Yeah.
This is like that's like I remember I just watched baseball documentary Wartime Man documentary.
Yeah. Ken Burns.
Oh yeah. And where they would have like guys be like, I'll drop it for money, and they would drop it. The gambling was rife with crookedness.
Yeah.
The players were not
There's
getting
no real
paid.
rules.
Yeah, the players weren't getting paid anything, so they would in real time flip the game.
That's crazy. And then we also had a Major League team in 1890, the Players League, which is considered Major League. Yes. And then 1914 and 1915, we had a Federal League team, which is considered Major League. And then we had lots of Negro League games in Buffalo. We had teams in the Negro Leagues at various times, but not in the time that's considered Major League by Major League Baseball. But
name drop a few people that were on those teams.
Well, yeah. So we had the Indianapolis Clowns here when Hank Aaron was their shortstop. Yeah. For a short time, and he played a shortstop at a game in a doubleheader in Buffalo. Some of the teams who came through here, because teams used to barnstorm through here, so like Satchel Paige pitched here, Josh Gibson hit multiple home runs here. So yeah, like when you go through the list, it's like Hall of Famers and incredible, but they weren't actually, they just would barnstorm. They stop here for a couple games and move on to the next city, but it was pretty regular. I mean, it was like a different team might be in here every couple of weeks. So it was
for the younger fans in the group. The Barnstorming League is very similar to, like, I'll call it the Savannah Bananas of today.
Yeah.
They went
Especially
wherever
the
they wanted to
Indianapolis
play.
Clowns. The Indianapolis Clowns were very much like into like entertaining the fans and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I love about them bringing them back in the Banana League, and not to mention the wonderful lineage of all that, and then bringing the fact that, you know, there was a lot of women players that played for the Indianapolis Clowns too, and it just seeing that finally starting to transition to the point, even the Banana Ball League and then the Women's National Baseball League this year is going to be very fun.
Yeah, the Clowns were actually based in Buffalo for like, I think it was 5 seasons. But they kept the name Indianapolis Clowns, but the local papers would call them the Buffalo Clowns. But they'd only play maybe like around like 7 or 8 games here in Buffalo, because then they were barnstorming around the country the rest of the time. So
because they were an act to what you had mentioned, they were just fun, and this is why we enjoy baseball level stuff. But and then there's that wonderful tidbit about the Buffalo, that The Natural, the movie with was filmed in Buffalo at what was it, War Memorial Stadium?
And it's amazing.
Robert Redford, that's the name I was looking for.
Amazing to watch The Natural now with all the sites from around the city of Buffalo. That, you know, they use lots of different locations to film everything besides War Memorial Stadium. A lot of guys who were in the movie, like Duke McGuire, who's the radio broadcaster for the Bisons, was in the movie. They flash to him right when Redford hits the game-winning home run. They show him he was one of the players for the New York Knights cheering. Kevin Lester, who's the official scorer at the Buffalo Bison's game, was also in the movie. He actually made the Wonder Boy bat for Robert Redford. And he's the official scorer at the Bison's games now. So yeah, it's really cool to watch the movie now.
Good deal. Is there any other little tidbits you'd like to throw in before I finish the show game?
I think we hit on just about everything here.
So on that note, Blue Jays fans and anybody that happens to be listening, this is why you follow Brian and all his wonderful work, because he is a plethora of this awesome baseball fun. So good deal. So now it is the end of the show. We're going to do our picks to click, brought to you by our friends at JBW Baseball Company. Liz is sporting the wonderful hat right now. Isn't that awesome? I have mine too, but I didn't want to be that one that made it look like you and I were cloning. And I
do like to be twinners. I love to be twinners.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you want this hat, we have a code. The code that I never remember, but we have a code.
It's JBirdPod15. Head over to jbirdy.ca and you can get a little discount off.
There we go. JBirdPod15. This hat could be yours. 15% off. Let's go.
Or if you want to be a drinking person like me, you can use the baseball bat code in our Dugout Mugs code that's in my thing here. I've been drinking out of it all night, and I'm strangely okay with it.
You can have a bat and you can have a mug. Let's go.
Good deal. So picks to click. Brian, what we always do on the show is we let the guests from the new week pick the winner from last week. So the best performer in Blue Jays baseball this past week, out of these 4 names, and I'm going to read off to you in no particular order. It's amazing Vladdy is not on this list. I don't know how we messed that one up last week. But Leon Sosa, Eloy Jimenez, Miles Straw, and Dalton Varsho. And wow, we really hit the one out of the ballpark last week. Who's your vote for who might have won this one last week?
So I don't have any numbers to back this up. I'm going with my eye test here. I'm going to have to give it to Miles Straw. I mean, just all around game. I know he's made some nice catches in last week. Just played solid defense.
He's been doing stuff. Like he's been doing stuff.
Played some center field. Played some right field. He just
got on base.
Gets on base.
I agree with that statement 1,000 times over. Out of those names, I would have loved to say Leon Sosa didn't really get in enough games, but Jason didn't show up last week, so he didn't exactly get a great pick.
There you go.
Liz, you had Dalton Varsho because you won the week before with Vladdy. I know that's shocking. And I was feeling Eloy Jimenez, thinking it was going to be his last week to really impress everybody with Springer coming back. He did pretty good, but it definitely wasn't as good as what Miles Straw did. So to that point, Brian, you just put the guest spot on the board. Right now, currently, Mr. Jason Lyons is winning with 2 wins to tie for the second place with Liz and the guest spot with 1 win. And then me, I got nothing yet. So we're just going to go from there.
The best players. You pick players that you think will be good that aren't good.
Right.
So we always have this weird thing here that we always let the winner go first. So Brian, you won the guest spot one, so you get to pick the first pick this week.
Do you see how Liz is trying to talk me out of taking Vladdy here?
No, man, you can do it. I'll still win.
So I have a few players going through my head here. I think I'm going to go with Ernie Clement.
I think that's
a good
about
pick.
the best.
That was my
B
B pick was Ernie.
Yeah.
He's getting hot. He's like, I don't know, man. He's just so good at baseball. The man is great at baseball.
Yeah.
So on the, I'll call it the first edition of the show today because Jason and I did that little quasi post game show so he could have some airtime today. We talked about where is Ernie Clement fit in the lineup tomorrow when George Springer is probably going to be batting leadoff. I don't think you can mess with it. I'm all one of those people. I'm like, I get why you do the righty lefty thing. I really do. But at the end of the day, right now, Ernie Clement is just so effing locked in.
Yeah,
he's getting on base at a crazy cliff. He has to be one or two. And if you're going to put Springer back at one, you might as well put Ernie there right in front of Vladdy. And then the rest just falls into place. So at least that's my thought.
That's good.
So
I have to agree.
All right, Miss Liz, what do you got?
I'm going to pick Vladdy because he's the best at baseball.
He is currently, after today,
the best at baseball you can still, right?
He's also riding a 12-game hitting streak after today, too. So
no, he's not. He's not. Is he?
No.
Did he hit? He didn't. I don't think. He
went 2 for 3 today.
No, I had him in my beat the streak, and I don't know if he got a hit on Monday.
I looked it up while Jason and I were talking. Maybe the internet's wrong. It's never happened before.
Anyway, I know I picked him and Ernie, and they did not get hits.
Yeah. So Jason was with me on the show earlier, so I'm not saying he's unattentive tonight because he was on a show.
Vladdy did not get a hit on Monday. That is correct. Vladdy did not get a hit on Monday.
Then I was wrong. I stand corrected. I'm giving Jason the Kazuma Okamoto on the pick tonight. And then I am going to take Jesus Sanchez because I have really enjoyed what feels like Teoscar vibes a little bit to me with how he plays the game.
I like the way I thought
seen him take a pitch, but it's really fun.
I thought that we were going to get those vibes from. Remember our friend Santander who disappeared into the vapor and we never saw him ever. But I'm happy I'm happy with Sanchez. I think it's great. I'm like he's cute. He's got good vibes. He hits the ball. Things happen. He's got speed. That was a great acquisition from Loperfido. Yeah.
You know who
as much as I was a Loperfido fan, but there we go. We've gotten an upgrade. Go ahead.
I didn't want to tell you who I was thinking about taking until after you guys made your picks. I was obviously thinking about Vladdy because you'd have to be crazy not to. But the other person I was thinking of was Louis Varland. You know,
that would have been one of the very few picks I think that would have carried.
I think you would have carried it. Winning with pitchers is hard, but I feel like Louis the guy. When he had his
he
first,
struck out the side yesterday.
Yeah, when he had his first start, and I was at that game, and it looked kind of rough. I was like, I think he's just too pumped up. I think like his double slap, bam, and he's just too pumped.
Then he got the awesome new intro that he has the first time, and he literally became the animal.
Louis the Committee Varland. Let's go.
Yeah, Louis the Committee Varland. So I saw one of the best things ever. It was by the committee was the nameplate on the jersey, and it just had 77 on it.
Yeah,
just Louis Varland.
You know, this is the thing is eventually I'll turn on Louis, much like I turn on our bullpen all the time. Eventually, it's always good till it's not, but I hope it stays okay. That's the thing. I hope it stays okay. I like the
new layout. I really do.
We have a guy that we can depend on.
And then you have the Trey Savage hammer toss to the submarine toss from Mr. Tyler Rogers. So that was I couldn't even imagine stepping into that box yesterday because the top of the lineup had faced Trey Savage their first run through, and then the next time they came around, guess what? Here's Tyler Rogers. Good luck.
It comes from up and down all at the same time. I just don't understand it.
Yeah,
the physics of it are mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The soft contact against him is just boggling.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brian, feel free to hang out for 2 seconds after I sign off here. But Blue Jays fans, thank you very much. give us a wonderful follow here with our friend Brian, and make sure you check out the Herd Chronicles. It has been an amazing night goofing around with you, Brian. I cannot say enough good things. Thank you very much for all the stories.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. I really enjoyed it.
For sure.
Good deal.
We'll definitely have you back. Yep.
So thanks again, Blue Jays fans, to the 50 of you or so that are still hanging out with our shenanigans here. Check us out wherever you get your wonderful podcasting pleasures from. And obviously check out JBW Baseball Company and our friends at Dugout Mugs. And we'll talk to you next week. Cheers, everybody. Have a great night.